Access to the internet affects each and every one of us. We all use the internet, but we might not know all the issues surrounding it. In order to understand, we need to look at the environment of technology. First, let's look at the media conglomerates. This is basically just the giant companies that own the media, and they emerge from various fields. These are a few of the big media conglomerates, and they compete for $3.5 trillion annually. If we look at this map, we can see the technology hubs of innovation. They're all over the world. This isn't a United States problem. This is a global problem. So the big idea here is that today's business tycoons do not specialize in steel, but in images, data, software, and now some of the surrounding issues with the internet, big data, which we all know about, and that's when government and businesses can data mine and then use that information without permission. Now, nonprofits also often get lost in the internet because they do not pay. You can look at Facebook and see this. The algorithm for what comes across people's news feeds do not favor nonprofits because nonprofits will not pay. Now, also intrusion, which connects back to big data, and the advertising that's directed towards people without their permission. We've all seen hate speech and violence on our social media, and that's not censored on the internet. But the big one here is media, and media is in every single part of the internet. Media is privately owned and dominates your news stations and your entertainment TV. If you've watched 30 Rock, you know that NBC is actually owned by Comcast. So NBC now has a new loyalty that they have to appease when looking at ethical issues. Now, how does this really affect us? Well, we are awake from 16 to 18 hours a day, and we spend 11 plus hours using technology. And you can see from this graphic that even though it was made last year, some of it might be a little bit outdated. Smart TVs have definitely grown in popularity, and so have apps like iHeartRadio and Pandora. The move to internet happens faster and faster each year. Just on July 1st, you can see how many people really do access the internet and how much information is out there. So let's get down to the case. Basically, Comcast wanted to block specific sites, charge video sites like YouTube to deliver their content faster to users, and slow its cable consumers' access to a file sharing service called BitTorrent. Well, when I first read this, I was a little upset, but then I realized they wanted to block porn sites, charge video sites like YouTube, not to keep their connection speed, but really give them the opportunity to deliver their content faster. And also, BitTorrent is illegal, so it makes sense that they would want to slow its access. But the complicated part here is that the Federal Communications Commission had already developed the National Broadband Plan, which supports the idea of net neutrality. We'll get more into net neutrality later, but basically net neutrality is the idea of equality on the internet, that all websites should have the same opportunities and that the rural community should have the same access to internet as the urban. So that's the ethical dilemma, is that Comcast won, and what really happens to net neutrality? From their Comcast perspective, they serve so many people with their services, and they spend a lot of money. Shouldn't they be given the same opportunity to innovate and capitalize on these ideas to make more money? It is a business here. Now, from the other perspective, we need to look at net neutrality first. And although I could explain it to you, I feel like Jimmy can probably explain it a little bit better.
So I thought I'd give a brief demonstration that hopefully will make the issue clear. Okay, so the things are now, if I want to send a video to Guillermo, let me have that. This is a VHS tape. This represents the video I would send using my friendly neighborhood internet provider, okay? And a telecom giant, represented by him, also wants to send the same video to Guillermo. Now, we both have access right now to the same delivery speed, which is represented by these speedy video delivery guys. Okay? So this means our videos get to their destinations at roughly the same time, like this. Hey, oh. Okay, there we go. All right, so they didn't go that fast, but all right. If we end net neutrality, the telecom giant will be able to send his video by Sprinter, whereas I could get stuff in the slow lane represented by this drunken guy in his underwear. Yes, he's going to be my guy now. And do we have the video? Okay. Oh, I have mine. Oh, I have another tape. All right, there we go. Okay, now watch this. On your marks, get set, and go. Okay. So
So that's the basic idea of net neutrality. But the principles behind it is that it allows more citizens to participate in discussions and have access to information. Even if it's a blog post or CNN, it's the same speed. Or if I'm in the western Oklahoma versus OKC, I still have the same access to internet. This would be impossible if financial needs limit accessibility. Internet does have the potential to decrease the inclusivity of information, but we're going to have to work for it. And one of the effects of this case is innovation. Many people believe that this blogs and small business pages would not be looked at as much as the big business pages because they would be slow in comparison. The larger, wealthier companies like Google or Facebook can pay ISPs to provide faster, more reliable access to their websites than to potential competitors. So let's say I'm a nonprofit sharing nonprofit videos to the world. I'm starting a new business, but YouTube has a faster service. Would people ever come to my site? Probably not. They'd go to YouTube, and that could stop innovation. So the information superhighway would have two lanes, fast and slow. And the big idea here is that you can't really have innovation if all of the big companies are in the fast lane and all the small businesses in the slow lane. Also, as we talked about earlier, part of net neutrality is giving rural areas the same opportunity of internet. But the big cable companies might overlook the rural areas because they can make more money within the populated cities. It is extremely difficult to put all those lines down for just a few people. And democracy depends on its citizens having an equal amount of information, and the information inequality and technology inequality would continue to be increased between areas of the country. Now, you can always look at the Potter box, and what we're going to focus on here is the facts and the loyalties. We already know the facts, but who is Comcast loyal to? I think this is the major question, ethical dilemma. Is Comcast more loyal to the public and the equal spread of information, what you would think a telecommunications company would be about? Or is it more about the investors and employees? While both are very strong loyalties, Comcast needed to look at their values and decide, does the capitalistic society of you pay more money, you get more things, is that a bigger principle to them? Or do they want equality throughout? Now, there's many ethical arguments, but we'll focus on two. First, we'll focus on the private enterprise. This is social justice is based on merit. So basically, the people that expend the most energy or effort, take the most risk, suffer the most pain, rightly deserve the highest reward. But how do you measure who has done these things? Well, they believe in money. So the higher the income, the better access to information. Now you can also look at the other regarding care argument. And that means that justice is to each according to one's essential needs. Now we all know we have the needs of food, housing, safety, and medical care. Well, don't we also have a need for access to information? Many people believe that information is now a necessary need, which basically means that we need it to function in our society. It's not a need that people want, it's necessary. Now, the technology gap here is the gap between the rich and the poor nations, and it's intensifying. Also, the gap within the US is slowly closing, but still only 62% of people in households making less than $30,000 a year use the internet, while those making $50,000 to $74,999 jumped to 90. Now, many people we could say we can solve this with taxing, but really we probably need to look at social practices. Not all people can read or use a computer, and although fighting for equal access might be a step in the right direction for equality, the public also needs to consider how to help people use the internet productively. But as of June 12th, net neutrality kind of won. So what this means is the fight isn't over, but if you support net neutrality, you can breathe a bit. Supporters include AOL, Facebook, Netflix, Twitter, Vimeo, and every other major internet company. And opponents are AT&T, Comcast, Time Warner, Verizon, basically the internet providers. Now, you might wonder why Facebook and these major internet companies support net neutrality. It could be because they do not want the added problems of having another loyalty. If Comcast agrees to give Facebook the higher bandwidth, what if Comcast doesn't support gay marriage but Facebook does? Facebook might not give us the filters to put over our profile pictures. Basically, the ethical dilemma here is whether or not the internet should be equal for all. We need to look at both the business perspective and the social perspective. As a citizen, I personally believe that we should have net neutrality because I believe in the equality of ideas and I believe innovation will stop. And I think that Comcast should look ethically at what its original business plan was, what its mission is, before they start just looking at the bottom line.